Today is Monday, May 9th, 2022. It's 4:32 a.m. in the morning. Today marks day 974 days. That's 2 years, 7 months, and 31 days of a false arrest made by Almont, Michigan police on 9/8/19, who knew I was out of running drinking water to survive for over 5 days. Almont police officer Ryan Wilson stalked me because I filed a police abuse complaint against him and other police officers in the Almont Police Department, including Chief Andy Martin, with the U.S. Justice Department 8 days prior to Ryan Wilson stalking me. I wrote this letter Saturday, May 7, 2022. I addressed it to Lapeer County, Michigan Prosecutor John Miller and Judge Nick Holoka. I sent it to the 40th Judicial Circuit Court in the Lapeer County Complex Building, 255 Clay Street, Lapeer, Michigan 48446. I had to send it by registered mail. I also sent it by email to John Miller on Saturday. I also sent it to Intoxilock, which is a interlock device that's the state of Michigan Secretary of State is using as a mandatory supplier of interlock devices for the Secretary of State, and they're abusing they're abusing their relationship with the Secretary of State by screwing customers every way possible. And I have evidence, video evidence to prove it. And they're responsible for me having a warrant out for my arrest that because I failed to appear for court on August. I failed to appear on court on April 26, 2022, and John Miller knew all about it for over 5 days because I was having problems with Intoxilock's interlock device that failed, and for the second time, and it wouldn't drive for over 2 weeks. I finally had to have it towed, and they installed all brand new equipment. I've had nothing but problems with Intoxilock since the day that I had it installed, and that's why I have so many evidence videos against this company. This last time, the equipment, I drove the vehicle for 2 days and while moving, and I drove almost 500 miles. I had absolutely no problems with my vehicle whatsoever. And the day after, on April 10th, 2022, I went to start my vehicle and it was completely dead. I contacted Intoxilock, and we went through. I spent the whole week talking to them, trying to figure out what the problem was, because I couldn't drive my car, I couldn't work, I couldn't get food, and I couldn't get medical attention for over 2 weeks. I was having problems, and they couldn't figure it out. They finally told me that I had to have it towed again for the third time, and I had to have it towed. And they dragged on for almost a week. They finally told me that I had to have it towed on Friday. They told me Friday that I had to have it towed by Tuesday, this April 26th. And that was the day that I had court in Lapeer County. And I contacted John Miller, knew all about it because I had every complaint letter email that I sent to Intoxilock, I forwarded to John Miller's office, because he told me he wanted me to inform him of everything that was going on in my life while I was being tried for this phony charge. So John Miller knew all about this. I was on the phone all week with them trying to troubleshoot. They finally said there was no other way that they could do it than replace all the equipment. So the first they could do it was April 26th. That was the day that I began my trial. That was supposed to begin my trial that I've waited for over 970 days for, and I couldn't make it, and there was nothing that I could do. And I informed John Miller all about it. John Miller knew about it all because I was sending emails to Intoxilock for over 5 days, so he was completely aware of what was going on. He knew that my vehicle wasn't running, and instead of accommodating me in any way, he used it against me as a weapon. And when he found out that I wasn't going to make it in court, instead of helping me out, instead of accommodating me, he had advance notice. Instead, he just blindly put out a warrant out for my arrest. So now if I go out of my house, I could be arrested for no crime. This is another setup by corrupt Lapeer County, Michigan. Here's a letter that I sent to him. I also sent it to Fred Miller, I'm acting as my own attorney, and I've been acting as my own attorney since June of 2020. And I can't get any accommodations whatsoever from Lapeer County Court. They just won't respond to me, even though I'm acting as my own attorney. So I also sent it to the Michigan Secretary of State. I also sent it to BAIID documentation. I don't know who they are. That's a special department that the Secretary of State uses for interlock device cases. I sent it to Secretary of State Judge Hannah Myers. I sent it to their department, another email to their department. I sent it to Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, Senator Kevin Daly, State Representative Gary Howell, and all the way up to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I also postal mailed this letter, and it's certified to both John Miller and Nick Holoka. And it was a 24-page postal and email document. And here's what it says. Hello, Mr. Miller and Mr. Holoka. John, why did you issue a warrant out for my arrest? Please explain what you are now doing to further destroy my valid criminal case against Lapeer County employees that physically and financially abused me. Oops. Let me just do. I called for you yesterday, and your office secretary, Becky, told me that because I was not at my 4/26/22 hearing, that you swore out a warrant for my arrest. Why? You knew nothing. You knew all about my car problems that Intoxilock device was giving me for months. I purposely informed you of my issues with Intoxilock that were not my fault. I finally forced them to replace their defective device on 4/26/22 at no cost to me other than the $145 tow fee that Intoxilock said they would reimburse me for. They tried to get me to pay $500 for their new unit once I got into their repair center, but the repair center's manager argued with them until they finally installed it free as they promised. And I sent a proof of my tow bill. And here that is. Dated April 26, 2022. I had no other choice. That's the first time I could get it into their shop. And I wrote, you knew I couldn't be in court and it was an emergency. Why in God's name would you swear out a warrant for my arrest for another emergency that I had no control over, John? Emergencies are not against the law. I didn't swear out a bench warrant. I didn't swear out a warrant for Judge Bernard, who made me show up for court once, but she wasn't there. And I didn't swear out a warrant for you, John, when you couldn't make it to court last June and I had to come back the next week later. I showed up for every court date since 9/8/19. It was not my fault. Intoxilock device failed again, and you had the proof. I asked Becky about the emails I sent you explaining that I could not attend my hearing because my car was in another false lockout due to the fact that my Michigan Secretary of State mandated Intoxilock interlock device failed again on 4/10/22, and I was forced to get it towed to Adams Automotive in an undisclosed location on 4/26/22. You knew all about it because I sent an email to you on 4/26/22 and asked you to give a copy of it to Judge Holoka. On 4/20, I also sent you a copy of an email I sent to Intoxilock that explained that my vehicle was locked up again for no legal reason. I explained that Intoxilock's device failed again like it did on 7/31 and took a picture of my empty car interior with me out of the vehicle for over 15 minutes. I lost my license for over 3 months because of their equipment failure. You had a week's notice that I was having more interlock failure problems that were not my fault, and that I was doing my best to be in court by 4/26/22. I wanted to be there. I didn't evade anything. I tried my best to be there. It was not my fault. It had everything to do with Intoxilock's faulty equipment that failed again. I told Becky that I sent you 2 emails explaining my interlock problems, and she told me that neither she nor no one in your office was allowed to talk to me, and she hung up on me. Why, John? I'm acting as my own attorney. How can I act as my own attorney if nobody in your office will talk to me? I'm acting as my own attorney, and I have a legal right to consult with you and your staff concerning this phony felony case that your office illegally dragged on for 972 days. That's 2 years, 7 months, and 28 days. I'm guilty of nothing. I notified your office before 4/26 that I was having interlock problems that were not my fault. I called Mr. Fred Miller yesterday, who told me that I have to come and turn myself into the court, and the court will put me in jail until I can pay the $3,000 bail that was set for me. I just moved and I'm dead broke. Does that mean that you will keep me in jail and in another mental institution for another month, like your department did in 2019 and tow my vehicle and let my cat starve while I'm in jail again? I'm innocent. I can't trust your department will allow me to walk out if I walk into your office to resolve this warrant, and I refuse to be further punished by your department. John, you must explain what your office is doing to this case. You must dismiss the warrant for my arrest. I was in an emergency, and I notified you before court. I need to work to survive, and your department is making it impossible. I'm innocent of all charges. Please stop wasting more taxpayer money, John. I voted for you because you promised to restore law and order to Lapeer County. You can prove your campaign promise by taking this phony charge off my record so I don't get arrested. I want my trial that I've patiently waited for 972 days for. I have never been in court yet. I have never heard your side or been able to explain my side. It's a travesty of justice that I can't deal with anymore. Please respond, John, respectfully, and I put my name, my real name, and my real address. I'm a private citizen. I have a right to privacy. These people are public servants, and I have a right to, if I have an issue with them, I have a public right to put it on my issues in public on the internet, which I'm doing, because I can't get justice in corrupt Lapeer County, Michigan. Here's the copies of previous emails that I sent that John Miller knew all about. And this was Monday. I sent him Monday, May 2nd. This was before I knew about that they put out a warrant out for my arrest. And I sent it to all the same people. And I explained, I finally had my vehicle towed and finally got in tax locked and placed a defective interlock device that failed and took a picture of my empty interior on 7/31/21 after I left my vehicle 15 minutes prior. The Michigan Secretary of State didn't even look at their evidence of my innocence and revoked my license for no probable cause on 8/10/21. On September 2021, Intoxilock forced me to have my vehicle towed to their service center and merely had their faulty device reset instead of replacing their faulty equipment. I was forced to pay $145 to have my vehicle towed, but Intoxilock reimbursed me at that time. It took me until November 10th, 2021 to finally get my restricted license back, and Intoxilock's device failed right in the parking lot of the Lapeer County Secretary of State's office. I made a video of that too. Go look at that. It's on my website, Almont Senior, on my YouTube channel. Intoxilock's tech support got the vehicle started, and it worked for a few days until their equipment started failing again intermittently and began draining my battery extensively. My vehicle finally wouldn't start at all, so on 11/23/21, Intoxilock demanded that I have my vehicle towed once again to their service center for a thorough inspection. Their department recorded 2 false lockout notices, and they charged me $75 each for that their technical supervisor, Derek, promised that Intoxilock would reimburse me for, in addition to another $145 tow charge. Their tech support supervisor, Derek, promised that if I only have my vehicle towed again on 11/31/21, he would guarantee that he would ship out a brand new replacement unit that would be waiting for me when I arrived. I paid $145 for another tow to their service center, but when I arrived, Intoxilock shipped no parts whatsoever and never told their service center anything at all about it. Their service center had no idea why Derek lied to me. I called Interlock from the service center and argued with another technician who told me there was no record of their service supervisor, Derek, ever promising to ship a new unit to replace the one that failed and made me lose my driver's license. Here's proof that Derek lied. Listen to him tell me, "Don't worry, a brand new unit will be waiting for you if you only have your vehicle towed again." That was on 11/23/21. Intoxilock's escalation team supervisor, Derek, lied to me and promised that if I only had my car towed to Jeremy's Automotive again, there would be a complete brand new device waiting for me when I got here. Here's the proof. And I've got that video evidence right on my YouTube channel, Almont Senior. They can't deny it. This guy tells me that he's going to replace the equipment that failed in July so I wouldn't have any more problems. Instead of doing that, all they did is charge up my battery. Listen to Derek, and here I've got exactly where he told me. He was going to make sure Jeremy's will have a complete replacement unit available to replace the existing unit that failed. And here's what happened when I had my vehicle towed to Intoxilock Service Center. I got a video of that, arguing with another Intoxilock employee that told me that Derek never said that. Go back and listen to Derek Lyon saying he was going to have that equipment there. The only thing The only thing Intaxalock Service Center did was to charge up my brand new heavy-duty battery and sent me home. Nothing got resolved. After that, I was afraid to use my vehicle and take any more chances of Intaxalock's equipment failing again. And I wrote, John, you know my furnace failed in December 2021, which only added to my inability to survive. I was living in a house that Lapeer County DHHS Supervisor Rhonda Lansing destroyed, caused $15,000 worth of damage to my house. She also committed Social Security fraud that's cost me over $12,000 year to date, and that's $27,000 that Rhonda Lansing cost me in less than 2.5 months after I applied for services when I was having problems trying to get my license back in 2016. In January 2022, Intaxalock illegally took an extra $56.99 payment out of my bank account in addition to two $75 erroneous lockout fees that their company promised to reverse and never take out of my bank account. That's bank fraud. They're paying somebody off from the Secretary of State for the state of Michigan to be able to get away with this, to be able to abuse taxpayers that are mandated to have this interlock device put in for a year. I had no problem with it. They never tested me. I never tested one time. And I completed a 12-month program mandated by the state of Michigan on 2/22/22. And here it is. 3 months later, I still dragging this out because of all the problems that Intaxalock has given me. They also refused to reimburse me for my $145 tow they promised to reimburse. Intaxalock owes me $351.99 since January 22 and refuses to pay me what they legally owe me. I successfully completed a 12-month interlock mandate to the Michigan Secretary of State on 2/22/22. I've already collected all other testimonies and medical records mandated by the Michigan Secretary of State and requested Intaxalock's closing paperwork, but they refused to send it. They only sent a portion of what they are required to supply me, and have ignored my numerous requests for all necessary documentation necessary to supply to the Secretary of State so I can get my full license and have the device finally deinstalled off my vehicle. The reason I was unable to attend my April 26, 2022 court date was because Intaxalock equipment failed again and left me stranded for 16 days. Intaxalock finally agreed to replace their faulty equipment on 2/27. I got that date wrong. It's 2/26. At no charge if I only pay $145 for a tow to my new technical support company, Adams Auto Repair in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Intaxalock also agreed to reimburse me for the tow if I send them the bill. When I arrived at Adams Auto Repair, they had the parts waiting, but when they called Intaxalock to get authorization to do the installation, Intaxalock refused and told them that I should pay $500 for parts and installation, which is not what we agreed to. I didn't agree to any of this with Alex Killam, who is a supervisor for the Customer Advocacy Department of Intaxalock. Adams Auto Repair's manager helped me out. He told me that Intaxalock owes their company thousands of dollars and they could not trust them to pay. That's why they wouldn't give them any credit. We both agreed that Intaxalock is a bunch of crooks stealing monies at taxpayers' expense. We both got on the call with Intaxalock and argued with Intaxalock until they finally agreed to pay the bill with a credit card. They still owe me $351 from November 31st, 2021, as well as an additional $145 for a tow on 4/26/22. That's $496 that Intaxalock owes me, and that doesn't take into consideration all the time I couldn't work, shop for food, or get medical attention while I was paying them. As soon as this is all over, I will sue Intaxalock in small claims court for all they cost me. My vehicle is currently working, and I'm ready to get my day in court as soon as possible. Please tell me where we go from here, John. Respectfully, and then there's my name. And I also sent it to Intaxalock's compliance department on May 2nd. And they sent an automated reply. There we go. And I'm going to call them today. Here's an email that I sent to John Miller on the 26th. I sent it at 5:31. I tried sending it on Monday the 25th, but apparently it was late at night and I didn't send it. So I woke up at 5:43 and sent it. And I sent it to John Miller and also Fred Miller, which is my court-appointed advisor. I'm my own attorney, but he's giving me legal advice, and this was court mandated. Says, hello, John. Today marks day 160 of a false arrest by criminal Almont police when they knew I was in a crisis. So did Lapeer County prosecutor Mike Sharkey. That's 2 years, 7 months, and 17 days that I've been held against my will, and they have walked free to do the same thing to other Almont and Lapeer County taxpayers. I'm sorry that I'm being forced at the last minute to miss the beginning of my long-awaited trial tomorrow. Fred Miller told me that I must inform the court that I had an emergency that occurred at the last minute, which I did, and that did nothing. Even Fred Miller says what they're doing is illegal. TaxLock's interlock device failed for the third time in 9 months, and I haven't been able to drive my vehicle for over 15 days, even though their company bills me for services not rendered. I can't attend court, I can't work, I can't even shop for food or get medical treatment. TaxLock has gotten away with predatory, illegal taxpayer abuse by a Michigan Secretary of State mandated vendor because no one in Michigan government polices their company. I don't have Judge Holoka's email address, only yours. Will you please inform him of my emergency? When I first met you in January 2021, John, you told me to keep you informed about what's going on in my life until I finally get my trial. I'm sure you're busy, but I hope you've been reading the emails that I've included you in, including my state-mandated interlock device that keeps sabotaging my vehicle. This Michigan Secretary of State's mandated vendor is purposely sabotaging Michigan taxpayers by installing defective car bombs that fail at will. Last July, it malfunctioned and took a picture of my vehicle interior with no one in it because I left it 15 minutes earlier. TaxLock sent pictures proving I wasn't even in my vehicle when their equipment failed to the Secretary of State, who didn't even look at my evidence, and revoked my license for over 3 months. TaxLock refused to replace their faulty equipment, which subsequently failed the very day I got my license back on 11/10/21 in the parking lot of the Lapeer County Secretary of State's parking lot. It kept failing until 11/23 when it drained my brand new battery so much that it triggered another false lockout. Their technical supervisor, Derek, promised that if I only pay another $145 tow bill, I paid one in September 2021 also, that he would personally ship all brand new equipment to so that their equipment would not fail again. But when I got to their repair center, their technician said TaxLock lied and never sent the new equipment. All they did was charge up my existing battery and sent me home. Then they cheated me out of another $145 tow bill that they promised to pay. They cheated me out of $150 in false lockout fees that they also illegally charged to my bank account, and they also charged 3 payments in January 22 instead of 2. They're supposed to take 2 payments out a month, not 3. They did the same thing to me in June of 2021 also. They just take money out of my bank account at will. That's bank fraud. That's $350 in illegal charges. They refused to reimburse me, and they have refused to replace their defective equipment since July 2021. And the Michigan Secretary of State allows them to get away with this taxpayer theft. I was finally forced to move out of my uninhabitable home on April 9th and 10th, 2022. My home was made that way by Lapeer DHHS Supervisor Rhonda Lansing, who's going out of business. Plumber buddy improperly installed a water heater that promptly leaked 3 times and caused $15,000 worth of damage to my home. I'm sure you recall that she's also guilty of Social Security fraud that cost me over $12,000 so far. That's $27,000 Lapeer County owes me because former prosecutor Mike Sharkey protected bad county employees instead of the Lapeer County taxpayers that pay all your wages. That's the reason that they had to stalk me for all the damage that I tried to hold Lapeer County government responsible for. I'm now living 3 hours away from Lapeer County. During the move, TaxLock device worked perfectly for almost 500 miles. The next day I tried to start my vehicle and it was dead again. It's an intermittent equipment failure that TaxLock should have replaced last July. And it has nothing to do with my brand new battery that I was forced to replace in December of 2021. As of last Friday, TaxLock told me the only way I could get my vehicle back on the road would be to pay another $145 for a tow. And they would ship brand new equipment to a service center that only accepts cash. I was told that I had to pay for the tow as well as $500 for new equipment or they would not get me back on the road. And I made a video of that, and that's on my YouTube channel, Almont Senior. I'm still battling in TaxLock's state-mandated customer abuse and plan to sue them in small claims court once I finally get their car bomb deinstalled. John, I understand you had nothing to do with the incidents that led to my false arrest when I was in a crisis. Sharkey left you with a mess. I want to help you restore law and order to Lapeer County as you promised in your election campaign. That's why I voted for you. You and I both agree that Mike Sharkey is corrupt and did not work for Lapeer taxpayers. I intend on calling former prosecutor Mike Sharkey to explain to my fellow Lapeer County tax-paying jurors how he helped cover up Lapeer County employee gross negligence by conspiring with Almont police to stalk me to orchestrate my false arrest while I was in a crisis from lack of drinking water for over 5 days. Right now I have to have my vehicle fixed. John Miller knew all about this. He had absolutely no reason to put a warrant out for my arrest. Once I do, I will contact you so we can finish this trial, close the books on this monumental travesty of justice, and go on with our lives. Respectfully, and my name. And here on April 22nd, I sent this email to him. No, I sent this to Fred Miller. And then I sent on the 25th, I sent, let's see what this is. I sent this email to Fred Miller, but I also included Senator Daley, Gary Howell, Governor's Office, Gretchen Whitmer, Attorney General, Secretary of State, and I also sent it to John Miller. It says, hello, Mr. Miller, you still didn't explain how to get my emergency pleading to the court. I have no transportation. I only have the internet. I can't mail anything. I'm due in court tomorrow. I am now officially a tax-paying prisoner of the Michigan Secretary of State under house arrest until TaxLock ever gets around to replacing their car bomb. I successfully concluded the Secretary of State's 12-month interlock program on 2/22/22, but in TaxLock has been sabotaging my getting my license back ever since. Meanwhile, they are stealing money out of my bank account for services not rendered. The Michigan Secretary of State needs to police their state-mandated vendors better than they are policing Interlock, who is financially and physically abusing Michigan taxpayers. Here's proof how Interlock is sabotaging me. I have much more video evidence on my YouTube channel, Almont Senior, and I put another video showing how Interlock screws taxpayers. I'm still waiting for a call from Interlock, who again promised to call me this morning. Try living without a vehicle for 15 days, Mr. Miller. The best I can do is draft a plea and email it to you and Prosecutor John Miller, because I do not have an email address to send it to the court or judge. I'm in a life or death crisis, and I cannot follow proper protocol. But neither has the Lapeer court system. It's the exact same situation as September 8th, 2019, the day that corrupt Almont police stalked me. Will this give them another legal reason, so-called legal reason, to stalk me again? Will they make up another lie that I beat them up again? That way, for sure, I will get life in prison for attempting to get drinking water so I don't die, which is a felony in corrupt Lapeer County. Lapeer County government does not represent the people and is an abortion of our constitutional Bill of Rights. They can't beat me. The only way is to cheat. They can't drag out this farce any longer. I want to explain my case to 12 Lapeer taxpayers, not the corrupt Lapeer court any longer. I will send you my pleading and pray that the court will obey the common law. This travesty of justice, this case is a travesty of justice, of the justice system. A crisis is not a crime. And then he said, I do not represent you. You need to do a pleading that states that why you cannot be in court on Tuesday. You can call an emergency motion to adjourn the trial, but you are going to have to file that with the court. You need to explain why you cannot be there in writing so the judge can see it and understand why. I couldn't drive my car. That's why I couldn't get it to get paperwork or to be in court. And John Miller or Fred Miller understands that. He understood that. But he also told me, he warned me, he said they're going to throw you in jail. Here on April 20th, I sent this email to Interlock. I also sent it to Fred Miller. That was on the 20th, April 20th. I sent it to the state of Michigan, Secretary of State, the Attorney General, Senator Kevin Daley, the whole crew, all the way up to Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Attorney General Dana Nessel. I sent it to Alex Killam, Nate McNamara, or Brandon Hallery, and they are all supposed to be with the Interlock Customer Advocacy Department. I sent a copy to John Miller, Fred Miller, State of Michigan, Dana Nessel, Kevin Daley, State Legislator Gary Howell, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I'm still waiting for a call from 2 years ago from Governor Gretchen Whitmer's office after calling them 11 times and having them promising me, oh, you're the next one on the list. We're going to call you real soon. Just keep waiting. Here's what I wrote to Intoxilock. Your company is guilty of engaging in predatory marketing practices on Michigan taxpayers who have been ordered to have interlock devices installed in their vehicles to make sure they don't drink alcohol and drive. That's what it's supposed to do. They make another profit center out of it. Your equipment failed again, and I haven't been able to drive my vehicle to survive in 10 days. My 12-month mandate from the Michigan Secretary of State ended on 220. It says 227. It should be 222, which entitles me to petition for a hearing to have your device removed and allow me a full driver's license. But your company has intentionally sabotaged my efforts ever since I was forced to sign your original agreement contract on 2/22/21 under duress. That's because it was 37% more than the sales manager Trent Lott promised me. When I finally looked at the contract after they installed the equipment, it was 37% more, and they had all these phony charges that I never agreed to, and I argued with them, and I made videos of all that too. Intoxilock abuses their customers because they think they can get away with it. Alex Killam took almost a month to send me your interlock closing documents that I need to send to the Michigan Secretary of State. I still don't have them. And he didn't send all of the Michigan log records I need. I still don't have them. Yesterday, your technician, Maria, promised to send me the Michigan log records I need to send to the state. Your sales manager, Trent Lux, originally made a simple agreement of 2 payments per month of $52.99 each for 12 months. We agreed to on a $30 processing fee, $100 installation and deinstallation fees, which he waived the initial install fee. That's what I agreed to with Intoxilock. But that's not what I got. I never saw your written contract until after your equipment was installed on my vehicle. Jeremy's Automotive handed me your lease after they installed it. When I looked on it, I refused to sign it because it was 37% more than what Trent Lux agreed to. Later, your company forced me to sign it by threatening to lock me out unless I signed it. So I signed it under duress, which made your contract invalid. Your company refused to correct your contract, which I never agreed to. Yet you still kept charging me erroneous charges and never did correct the contract. Your device was giving me an erroneous lockout charges, so I was forced to purchase a brand new heavy-duty battery with a 3-year warranty from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. In June, you charged me 3 payments instead of 2. On July 31st, 2021, your equipment failed and took a picture of my vehicle interior 15 minutes after I shut off my vehicle off, engaged power saved, and left the vehicle. Your company sent the pictures and log of your equipment failing all that day to the Michigan Secretary of State, who didn't even look at your evidence of my innocence and revoked my license for no probable cause on 8/10/21. It took me almost 4 months to get to finally get a hearing. Michigan Judge Logman took one look at my evidence and dismissed the case. I got my Michigan restricted driver's license back on 11/10, and your device failed again right in the parking lot of the Lapeer Secretary of State. Your technician told me to remove the negative battery cable for 30 seconds and reattach it, which allowed me to start my vehicle. I drove it for a few days with no problems, and then your device began failing and draining my batteries excessively. I started using a battery charger, but your device kept draining my brand new battery. Finally, just before Thanksgiving, your device made it impossible to start my vehicle, even using my brand new battery charger on my brand new battery. I spoke with numerous Intoxilock technicians for days trying to get your device to work. Finally, your technician, Derek, promised that if I only pay to have my vehicle towed to Jeremy's Automotive on 11/30/21, he guaranteed that he would have a brand new unit waiting for me when I got there. Instead, when the tow truck dropped me off, Jeremy's technician had no clue of replacing your defective device. They said Derek lied, and there was no order for a new unit. All Jeremy's Intoxilock installer Mark did was to charge up my existing battery. He told me that your company lied about their company doing a thorough inspection of their equipment. He said their company takes no responsibility for your equipment. He also told me that your company would try to blame my brand new battery for your equipment failure. He said he would help me out, and he gave me a piece of paper to take to O'Reilly's Auto Parts so they would swap out my battery for a brand new one. So I got another brand new battery. Mark said that if my battery was bad, it would die on the way home and would not start the next day. I drove my vehicle home. The next day was a big snowstorm, and I couldn't get to the store until the next day. I put my charger on. The next day, my vehicle started, proving my battery was still good. I went to O'Reilly's, and they replaced my battery again. Your company refused to reimburse me $145 for the tow that you told me you were going to reverse to false $75 lockout charges, but instead took them out of my bank account illegally and never reimbursed me. And in January, you illegally took 3 payments out of my bank account instead of 2. You did the same thing in June of 2021. You still owe me $350 that you refused to pay. Why? Now your equipment failed again on a 3-month-old heavy-duty battery. You can't blame my battery for your equipment failure. On 4/8, your equipment failed. I shut off my vehicle. I used power save, but a few minutes later, your equipment demanded that I blow again. If I had left the vehicle, it would have given me another error message, just like it did on 7/31/21. It also did the same thing about a month ago, and I reported it to your company. I had to move it out of my existing house on 4/9/22. I drove my vehicle almost 500 miles in 24 hours and had no problems with your device. My battery was fully charged, but on 4/11/2022, I tried to start my vehicle again, and your device failed again, giving me error messages. When I tried starting my battery, but your device immediately started draining my 3-month-old heavy-duty battery. I called in and talked to Intaxalock, numerous of your Intaxalock technicians who could only tell me to keep charging my battery. On Saturday, April 16th, your technician Thyra told me that your equipment has a sinking error and it needs to be replaced. She said she would put a new unit on order, and someone from Intaxalock would be contacting me Monday on 4/18 with instructions to how to get the new unit installed. That was on 4/18, and I had court date on 4/26. John Miller knew all about this because I sent him this email. No one from Intaxalock called Monday. I called and left a message for Alex Killam, who said he was busy, but he would call me back. He never did call back. I talked to Natasha, who said she was a supervisor. I explained my problems, and she said she was forwarding me to her supervisor, Heidi. I left a message for Heidi on her voicemail. She called back when I was on the phone. I tried calling back right away, but she wasn't available. I called Heidi again on Tuesday, 4/19, and she didn't call me back. I called for Alex Killam, Nate McNamara, and Brandon Hallery from the Customer Advocacy Department, but no one called me back. I called back and talked to Maria, who told me that a new unit was ordered to be shipped to Adams Automotive in Mount Pleasant, but she could not give me an installation date. I needed to hire another tow to get me there. I told Thyra, Natasha, Heidi, Nate, Brandon, and Maria that I had a very important court trial next week and that I need my vehicle by this Friday, April 22nd, 2022. I had planned to drive down and stay with a friend and prepare for the case. And I needed to get things done over the weekend to prepare for the case coming up on the 26th. The court has dragged my case on for this. The court trial has dragged on for over 2.5 years, and I can't miss it. I told him I can't miss it. John Miller knew this too. John Miller got this email. I need anyone from Intaxalock in authority to tell me when I can get my vehicle worked on and if I will have it back in use by Friday or not. If not, you will be forcing me to postpone my important trial. Please contact me today with final details so I can arrange a tow. They never did. Where's the rest of mine? No, that's it. So that's what I sent. That's everything. This is everything that I've gone through for no crime. Another victimless. I'm guilty of nothing. This equipment failed and left me stranded just like it did in July of 2021. And the Secretary of State is letting Intaxalock get away with it. And now I've got a warrant out for my arrest. Hey, thanks a lot, Intaxalock. That's it for now.